Multiple news networks report about a terrible epidemic called the Saharan flu. The flu, which has a 100% fatality rate, has decimated the Earth, and it is believed that nearly 3 billion people have died now. With the human population dwindling at a rapid rate, the United States government has devised a plan to save the race. They have decided to build 500,000 bunkers, and a lottery will be held to select the people who will be staying in them. Each bunker will have only one inhabitant, and they will have to live there until the flu passes. Once everything is back to normal, the people will be gathered for a repopulation program. We are then shown the interior of the fallout bunker, which has enough supplies stored in it to last an astonishing 70 years. The bathroom has access to a 24-hour water supply that is recycled and reused. The inmates of the bunker are required to conduct regular workouts for generating electricity. When it comes to food, they are simply fed with a protein shake that emerges from a tab. The bunker also has accurate weather representations. In the morning, a sunny environment is shown, and at night, the room becomes completely dark, which helps the inhabitants control their sleep patterns. Cut to many years later, we see a group of 7 individuals speaking over a video conference. Despite the fact that they all live in different bunkers, they do everything with each other's approval. The 7 people are named after their respective cities, and Boston, a strict but soft-hearted guy, is their leader. In one of these conferences, an aggressive man from the group named Orlando berates all of his friends. He also mentions that the outside world will never revert back to normal, so they're trapped here their entire lives. Boston and the others try to calm him down, but Orlando does not listen. Instead, he reveals his gruesome past, where he killed 15 people and got sentenced for life. One of the group members, Atlanta, an extremely religious woman, becomes enraged and confronts Orlando about the murders. The deranged killer simply replies that it gave him pleasure hearing this. The group becomes disgusted because they want to get rid of Orlando once and for all. Fortunately, there is an expert in the group who goes by the name Denver. He mentions that he has learned how to hack basic things and can possibly turn off Orlando's transmission. However, there is a catch. If he turns off the transmission once, it will be impossible to get it back again. This means that if Orlando's video calling ability is turned off, he may have to live the rest of his life alone with no one to talk to, which you can be sure will make him want to kill more people later. The decision is a difficult one, so the group decides to put it to a vote. 3 people, Boston, Atlanta, and a man named Chicago, vote for Orlando's transmission to be cut off, but a woman named Phoenix and another man named Houston claim that the punishment is simply too severe, and thus vote against it, leaving the decision up to the hacker Denver's vote. But before he can speak, Orlando himself orders the group to cut off the transmission, claiming that he is sick of seeing their boring faces. Obliging to his request, Denver hacks the system and makes Orlando go offline. That night, a sleepless Phoenix wakes up and talks to Denver. They discuss the earlier incident, and Phoenix mentions that what they did was wrong, but Denver consoles her by saying that it was the best thing to do. It is revealed that the two are in a relationship following this. The movie fast forwards to 8 months in the future, and despite losing one member, the group is well adjusted to the situation. However, because of an irregularity in the system, Houston's weather lights start changing abruptly. As a result, he hasn't been able to sleep for a few days. After a while, the group begins their customary meeting, and everyone discusses their results. It turns out that all the members are allocated with a certain responsibility, such as Atlanta having to maintain track of her group's health, while Denver is responsible for updating everyone about the outside world's state. As everyone is occupied with their tasks, Chicago, the group's least productive member, becomes bored and tells everyone that everything is pointless because they will never again see the outside world. This is made possible by the additional computers in the bunker, which display various statistics like the number of people left in the world, the heartbeats of all the group members, and so on. Boston tries to reprimand him, but Chicago hits a button on the computer that causes the bunker's handbook to appear on everyone's screen. Since the video cannot be skipped, everyone must watch it. In the video, the person who created the bunker, Nadine, begins to describe the amenities, revealing that it is 30 feet below the surface. The video concludes with Nadine narrating that humanity still has hope after she says that all 500,000 people are divided into groups, one of which is made up of 7 people, whose sole responsibility is to help one another survive until the virus is eradicated from the planet. A few days later, while the group was debating in one of their regular conferences, their data computers abruptly shut down. Boston believes it's only a short-term flaw. Despite being thousands of miles apart, the computers in all 6 of their bunkers are down, which makes the others worry that their bunker is beginning to fall apart. Later, Phoenix calls her boyfriend Denver in private to warn him that the system may have been compromised due to a flaw that began when they broke into the system and stopped Orlando's video transmission. Phoenix then begs Denver to break into the system once again and restore Orlando since it could be the only way to get their data machines back. Denver responds that it isn't worth attempting to hear this because it isn't feasible to bring back the transmission. Phoenix loses her temper and begins to tell her life narrative. She discloses that her mother raised her after her father passed away when she was a small child, but that she began using drugs as a child and even fled the house many times. Phoenix thought her mother had stolen her stash when she couldn't find it in her room one day, so she became enraged and stabbed her mother to death with a pair of scissors. She was then imprisoned in a maximum security prison until the virus spread and she won the bunker lottery. Denver gets emotional after hearing the story and vows to restore Orlando's transmission. He eventually succeeds one night and calls Phoenix to tell them the good news, but when they look at Orlando's feed, he is nowhere to be seen. In the following scene, the couple shows the feed to the rest of the group, and Boston is understandably upset that they made the decision without telling anyone. He is particularly upset at Denver for once again hacking the system, but they just respond that they don't care about voting anymore. Phoenix phones Denver again at night and requests that he collect some of Orlando's private recordings that he had taken. Phoenix says that the movies may provide a hint as to where he went. Denver complies and starts working right away. He tests his extreme hacking abilities and ultimately downloads a number of Orlando's private films, which the pair then begins to view one by one. Most of them are just Orlando working out without his shirt on, but in the final clip, the video cuts abruptly and only Orlando's screams are audible. When the video resumes, he has already disappeared, giving the impression that someone or something took him away and that not even all of that exercise could save him. The following morning, the group talks about the odd video, and everyone has different opinions. Boston says they are safe in the bunker and that they are just overanalyzing things, but Phoenix says they need to find a way out before it's too late. Meanwhile, Houston has gone crazy due to his broken weather lights and hasn't slept for more than a week, so he also supports Phoenix's escape plan. Boston, however, orders everyone to stand down until they have concrete evidence. When a now deranged Houston begins banging his head against the wall that night, everyone begs him to stop, but by that time he has lost his mind. Just then, his video transmission is cut off, and the sound of someone breaking into his bunker is heard. When the video returns, Houston is already gone, just like Orlando, shocking the group and making them finally think that something is wrong. Phoenix takes command of the gang the next morning and tells everyone to locate an escape route from their bunker. Apart from the slothful Chicago, everyone accepts, and they begin looking over their locations. When the whole group intently observes, the devout Lady Atlanta is the first to discover a lead. She opens a pipe that controls the supply of all protein in her bunker, and when she peers through the pipe, she discovers a vacuum area on the other side. Everyone is confused because the bunker is supposed to be 30 feet underground, but before they can ask any questions, Atlanta's transmission is cut, and someone violently removes her. The rest of the group is devastated because they know that anyone can be caught at any time, especially Chicago, who has given up on life and is slowly moving toward the main door before committing the unthinkable, leaving them all devastated. Now there are only 3 people left in the group. Denver is unwilling to give up easily, even though Boston and Phoenix have accepted their fate. He begins using all of his knowledge to hack into the system, and when he finally makes a breakthrough, he calls his distraught friends over a conference call and discloses that he has successfully gained access to other survivors' bunkers. Phoenix and Boston don't trust him, but they're shocked when Denver shows them some other survivors' live transmissions. Denver then discloses an odd finding. Despite breaking into the whole system, he was only able to locate 1,000 bunkers rather than the 500,000. After realizing that something is amiss after hearing this, the Phoenix suggests to Denver and Boston that they make one more try to flee. Boston claims that there is almost no way out of the bunker, but Phoenix says that there could be one. She says that the door might open if they disconnect the cables within the bunker. The boys believe the plan is dangerous, but Phoenix is now prepared to risk her life, so they accept it after witnessing her resolve. However, before they can start, Denver assures Phoenix that he will walk across the nation to reach her if that is the only way. After that, the 3 of them start cutting the wires, and as soon as they are successful, an alarm goes off and the door opens. Phoenix is the first to leave, and to her surprise, the door opens into a typical-looking apartment with a long hallway. Phoenix had always thought she was in a bunker, but this was not the case, and before she can figure anything out, Denver appears from the next door, suggesting that they have been living in the same building for the past 6 years. As the two embrace in confusion and joy, Boston also appears from another door. In the following scene, the The three start exploring the odd apartment until they arrive at the terrace, where they finally see sunlight after 6 long years. Meanwhile, Phoenix ascends the staircase to gain a better view of the city, and surprisingly, everything appears to be operating normally. People are strolling down the streets and traffic is congested. After some time, Phoenix goes to her pals to tell them the news, but they seem to be hiding something. When the two individuals who appear to be police officers discover that there is no way out of the terrace, Boston decides to set up a distraction so that his friends can escape. The plan succeeds, and the couple descend until they arrive at an office. Suddenly, the bunker's creator, Nadine, shows up brandishing a gun and threatens Denver to back off. She also tells Phoenix to avoid him, saying he is a dangerous person. Phoenix, perplexed, asks what's going on, and Nadine eventually tells him everything. It turns out that the bunkers are specialized prisons, and everyone inside are criminal prisoners like Phoenix who never left prison. They were just moved to the bunkers because Nadine wanted to give them hope and a new purpose in life. In addition, the Saharan flu never happened, and the news reports on television were made up for the inmates. Denver's conjecture is confirmed when Nadine states that there are only 1,000 inmates housed in the bunkers. Phoenix then queries why the inmates are being evicted from their bunkers, citing the numerous recent disappearances as evidence. According to Nadine, once Orlando was expelled from the gang, his film was somehow leaked to the public, which infuriated them, since they thought that such inmates were granted excessive freedom and luxury in the bunker. For the time being, their bunkers will be altered so that the inmates have less freedom and their lives become more uncomfortable. Naturally, the couple is shocked by the revelation, but Phoenix is still curious about one thing. This is because the government has been ordered to shut down the project, so they are removing everyone to make some changes to the bunkers and reintroducing them until they can find a place for them in the prison system. When she asks Nadine why Denver was imprisoned, he tells her that he stalked 15 women online and brutally killed them. Phoenix is horrified to learn that Denver had been acting as though he loved her all along, but Denver didn't believe he would ever be released, so that turn of events is ridiculous. Eventually, the previous police officers enter the room and knock the two of them out. Phoenix and Denver are led to the same hallway in the final scene, where they see every member of the group except for Chicago. Orlando is also present but is shot and killed when he tries to flee. The film concludes with the 5 surviving individuals being returned to their respective bunkers, each of which has been turned into a dark and gloomy room. Make sure to subscribe for more recaps, and I shall see you again in the next video. Until then, this is your host for Movie Recap signing off.